So the other day I was driving to the supermarket, and while I'm sipping my coffee, I hear this song in my head. A song I haven't heard in forever. That theme song. It was ingrained in me since I was a kid. Just like an old friend, a warm feeling that was inside came upon me. My inner child. In case you have no idea what I'm talking about, let me introduce you to Christian's answer to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, McGee and Me. This show was made by Focus on the Family, an organization founded by quote-unquote Dr. James Dobson, quote-unquote doctor. It's basically a conservative group that basically lobbies for two traditional families, whatever the hell that means. Gender norms, anti-drugs, gambling, anything that's fun, you know they're against. And I'm pretty sure all those people do that stuff behind closed doors. Yeah, honestly, I can go more into why I hate this organization, but the podcast Behind the Bastards just recently did an episode on Focus on the Family. Anyway, the show McGee and Me came out in 1989, had 13 episodes, a Christmas special, and another special. These episodes were mostly released straight to VHS at your local Christian bookstore. Although back in 1992, they did air an episode on ABC Family because they did, however, edit all the Christian stuff out of it because ABC is the devil. Technically, it wasn't bought by Disney, otherwise I would have said Disney is the devil, but ABC is the devil. Just kidding. Don't sue me, ABC. The show revolves around a kid named Nicholas who moves to a new town, draws for fun. One day, he draws a man with a haircut made in the 80s who comes to life either through dark magic or a deal with the devil. Yeah, the show never really explained how they brought McGee to life. So today we're going to be talking about the episode Skate Expectation. I wanted to review the Not So Great Escape, but Say Goodnight Kevin already did that episode and I can't do it justice. Maybe one day I'll cover it when I have enough wine. But okay, let's get to the episode of Rocket Power. I mean, McGee and Me. This episode tries to explore the topics of bullying, cheating, and basic 80s montages of training. However, after rewatching this episode as an adult, I realized that this show tries to push kids to basically not ask for an adult for help. Let me explain. McGee and Me always starts every episode with a Bible story. The story that is told today is of the Good Samaritan, which if you're not familiar with the story, it's about a Jewish man that walks to a city, I'm pretty sure it was Galilee, I could be completely wrong, who was mugged on the way there and left for dead on the side of the road. Two men basically pass by who are considered high ranks in the Jewish faith and don't help him out and just leave him for dead. But a Samaritan who was basically considered hated among the Jewish people at the time comes over and helps the man, basically takes care of him, brings him back to life, pays for all of his expenses. It's a wonderful story and it's actually one of my favorite stories in the Bible. The live action episode begins when the teacher gives a take-home quiz for the class. And of course, this is an 80s/90s show, so you have to have a bully in this episode. In this case, meet Derek, the grade A class bully of this show. Google wasn't invented yet, so he decides to pick on this smart kid named Philip to do the quiz for him. Hey, editing me, I just realized the kid who played Philip in McGee and Me was the kid who was in Jurassic Park who asked Dr. Grant about the raptors. I thought that was a pretty cool fact. Okay, back to the episode. Of course, there is no adult here to help. The school. I remember going to school and there was always an adult around. Even at recess, after school, there was always an adult around. Why is nobody stepping in to help the kid? Even Nick is staring at him like, are you gonna help? Yes, I guess I'll help him. Nick helps Philip pick up his books. Philip tells him about Derek's threat about taking the quiz. Nick sarcastically says, why don't you give him the wrong answer? And of course, Philip, being book smart, not street smart, takes this seriously and gives Derek the wrong answers. The next day at school, the teacher decides to embarrass Derek in front of the whole class by letting him read the wrong answers in front of everyone.
Perhaps you'd share with the class your answer to question number 7. What is the state capital of Michigan?
Motown.
What kind of an adult does this? At least say, hey Derek, see me after class. But no, let's just announce it in front of the whole class. At lunchtime, Derek decides to teach Philip a lesson by smashing a donut in his face. Where is there an adult? This is lunchtime. School is still going on, and there's no adult seeing this and saying, hey, Derek, stop putting a donut in this kid's face. At home, Nick is feeling bad for Philip, so McGee comes up with the idea for a skateboard race, which you could just tell an adult. I mean, all these problems would have been solved if you just told an adult. The next day at school, Nick looks for Derek to challenge him to a race, and of course, there are bets.
A fight, a race, this Saturday, skateboard to skateboard, and if you lose, you lay off of Philip.
And what happens when you lose? Like I know you're gonna.
Hey, why don't you just make him your slave?
Yeah.
Derek wins. Nick has to be his slave. Bro, your friend Lewis is standing right behind you. Of course, after he accepts this challenge, his friend Lewis reminds him that he sucks at skateboarding, and actually Derek is a good skateboarder who won a championship recently. Yeah, you should have thought about this more before you decide to have a skateboard race. And of course he blames McGee, which is the voice in his head.
Great. Thanks again, McGee.
Well, how was I supposed to know he was...
Hey, get out of my thoughts.
Also, there's this random side plot with Nick's older sister basically being peer pressured to babysit, even though she made plans weeks in advance. Also, we're introduced to this random guy. Don't know who he is. I'm guessing it's her boyfriend, but they go to the same school, and he already heard about the race through his brother. I guess it's word gets around kind of BS in this plot. Now it's time for a montage. Yeah, also Nick is not wearing a helmet, which is not cool. Nick, I don't care if you're practicing, wear a helmet, buddy. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this song is really catchy and it's been in my head for over a week. Please help me.
Now here you go again, you say you want your freedom.
Derek spies on Nick and thinks, damn, Nick is gonna be Tony Hawk one day, and decides the only way to win this race is to cheat. Finally, it's time for this race. Sadly, this race won't be an amazing race. It does have a couple of jumps and cones here and there. As soon as the race begins, Nick's friends notice that Derek's goons are missing and are going to investigate CSI style where they're at. Now it's time for a race-tage. It's like a montage, but it's the actual race.
Now here you go again, you say.
Yeah, it's a skateboarding race. It seems pretty cool. I mean, it's a 90s show, and I've never seen that before in any other 90s show that ever existed ever. Finally, Derek's goons swing into action by throwing a water balloon on the ground and putting trash bags out in the middle of the sidewalk. Wow, what fiends. And I mean, Derek's in the lead. Is this really necessary? Luckily for Nick, his friends Louis and Renee realize what's going on and decide to tell everyone at the finish line that, hey, Derek's a cheater. Derek wins the race, but everyone declares Nick's the winner because Lance Armstrong over here decided to cheat. But of course, Derek didn't learn anything from this because he's still a bully and doesn't change until the Christmas episode, which is episode 9, and this is episode 4. Don't worry, later on, the show would go on to their teen years, and does this kid look like a middle schooler to you? So overall, this show is definitely nostalgic, though I will say there are a couple of things here and there that I would change in the 30 years that this show has been out. First off, these kids should tell an adult if bullying is going on, especially if it gets physical like it did. I mean, there were so many times that all these problems could have been solved if there was an adult around. But I guess it would have been a boring episode, so whatever. I think the montage could have changed as well. I mean, in this episode, they showed Derek also practicing. It would have been so much better if they showed Derek not doing anything and Nicholas actually practicing and getting better at skateboarding. And then Derek realizing halfway through the race that Nick is actually winning and maybe Derek pushing him off or something. But I'm not a writer and I don't have a time machine either. I do like how Nick is sympathetic to Philip, and from the beginning, he's not giving into peer pressure into bullying Philip like all the other kids around him are, which is great to see in a show. I definitely do have nostalgic for this show, but I have a problem with focus on the family as an organization now. So that's the end of the episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all that BS, and also please help me get this song out of my head. I'm pleading with you. I'll make a deal with the devil if I have to.
Really, Christine, how much are you willing to pay to get that song out of your head?
Words aren't enough, you soon discover